Hello everybody, welcome to AGACAD's webinar, Openings for MEP Systems in Revit. My name is Aleksandras Sieża, shortly Alex, and I'm working here in AGACAD as BIM Application Engineer. And our goal in AGACAD is to bring solutions which would make engineers' life and work in Revit easier. We have a wide net of users of our tools. It's 12,000 plus users in 130 countries. And today's webinar will be about cut opening. We have many tools which you can see on our agacad.com website, but today we're talking about the opening creation tool called cut opening. It's a BIM software created for fast creations of openings in various models. Would it be MEP model, architectural model, or structural model? Openings can be created for ducts, pipes, cable trays, conduits, or beams, and they bring with them a lot of parameters which can be used in scheduling or tagging. In this webinar, we will see the regular workflow of cut opening, how to create openings in your Revit project, available settings for openings, control of openings after they are already inserted into the model, and how tagging would work with shared parameters of openings. And with this, I will start. I've prepared two models. It's actually the same house, only one is MEP with the systems, and another is structural box with linked MEP file. So here MEP is linked and it's structural, and another is MEP project. And to begin with, I will show quickly how you can access cut opening tool. You would have to go to our website, download Tools for BIM doc. It will appear on your toolbar, this Tools for BIM tab. By clicking Hide Doc or Show Doc, will open this Tools for BIM window, where you can see all possible tools which you could buy, download, or use the trial version. And my tools, that's the ones which you already have downloaded and installed on your computer. And one of them is cut opening, orange icon. It has inside cut opening tool, we've also inserted our other tool, sort mark. It's very useful while working in project and inserting different marks, describing the rules, how the marks should be inserted into the models or any families in the project. But today we're talking about cut opening. All the functions can be accessed through here, create modify functions or configurations. But I prefer to click on this button, and it adds cut opening tool also in our toolbar. It's under create modify tab, and it looks like this. Then it's easy just to take it out and use it freely without our dock. So now I will just close it to free some space on the screen. So that's how our cut opening tool looks like. The most important thing about cut opening is, of course, configurations. They can be accessed through openings configurations. You can create different configurations, save different files, and even save different paths for different files and share those rules maybe with your colleagues or store it on your work server. And in rules, we have different types of MEP services, all described separately. That would be rectangular ducts, round ducts, oval ducts, all types of pipes, that would be fire protection, plumbing, sanitary, hydronic, also pipes other, cable trays, conduits, and the last addition was openings for beams. It's also possible to insert openings for beams in walls or in columns. And all the settings are pretty much the same in all of these windows. They consist of three tabs: cut offsets, join openings, and interference check. Top part is always the same. It describes by what our tool will measure the MEP surface. Should the opening be created depending on the width? Here we can later enter from 0, for example, to 150 millimeters. So that would be width. We can choose height or both. Also, we can choose to write here some value, for example, 100 millimeters, and all the MEP rectangular ducts which are less than 100 millimeters will be ignored. Also here you can write the mark which will be written in all the inserted openings for rectangular ducts. So it's just D. For round ducts, it'll be RD. That is set by default. You can write whatever mark you would want to. Here you can choose how the elevation will be calculated for the opening. Would it be from the level, level above, project 0 level, or shared 0 level? And also, should cut opening calculate to the center, bottom, or top? Here you can describe from which size to which, what shape of opening should be inserted, rectangular or round, what cut offset should be used, and do you need to add additional top cut offset or bottom cut offset. Top cut offset is usually useful for cable trays, for example. Later goes join openings. This setting you can also describe, for example, if you need for different sizes, and it just searches all the surfaces which are less than 75 millimeters apart. And since tick is placed, our tool will auto join all the openings which are created for the surfaces closer than 75 millimeters one from another. Also, I would like to mention that's the question which arises a lot. If rectangular duct is set auto join and round duct would be set not to join, all round ducts, openings for round ducts, of course, will be not joined, rectangular ducts joined. If we click auto join here too, then openings for round ducts and rectangular ducts will be joined into one. And the last one, interference check. This one was created in case if you have grills in the wall and duct doesn't completely intersect the wall. In this case, do you want to have an opening or not? This tick controls that. If you click and create that full interference is needed, then opening will be created only if MEP surface goes completely through the wall. If tick is removed, then only touching the wall is enough to create an opening. In general, that's all the settings. And as settings are created, we can click Save, OK. And now we need something to apply these settings for. That will be created by the collaboration tool, which is already inserted into Revit. That's interference check. So we just make interference check. In this case, we'll have interference check. I'm now in MEP model. I'll quickly switch to structural model. And MEP services are linked. So quick interference check between, let's say, walls and floors. Cut opening can create openings also in ceilings, roofs, columns, or beams. But in this case, we mostly have walls and openings in the floors. I'm choosing MEP project, cable trays, ducts, and pipes. That's all the services I have. We can OK. And exporting it to have a file. Creating some name. Name doesn't matter too much. Closing. And now we can go back to cut opening tool. It's not taken out here. So after creation of rules and having interference check, we now need to combine those two items to have the description of openings. That would be done through read interference check data. Here we can choose our file of interferences and choose what kind of rules we would want to apply specifically in this project. Since my rules are pretty well described, cut opening doesn't show any mistakes. But if I would click on default configurations, where not everything is set, you will see that tool will show that something went wrong. In this case, there are some missing configurations for rectangular ducts with 50mm insulation. You can just click on Add All, and by scrolling to the bottom, Review Configuration, you will see what was added. If you don't like what was added, you can change values. Also, here's Rejected by Configuration. Some intersections were rejected because in these places, the MEP services were not fully intersecting the wall. But I'll go back to MEP configurations, clicking Next, and we get a first window where we can review what we've got. We can click on Show Host or Not Show Host. Then we see the services which are intersecting. And if we have some specific places where we need to change cut offset from the regular one to something more unusual or more specific, it's possible to do here. After this is done, it's also possible, by the way, to add additional top cut offset, bottom cut offset, or change mark if needed. This file will be saved as XML file. And the good thing about this XML file is that it can be sent to any other people who work with the same project and have cut opening, and they don't need to go through interference check, creation of rules, anything. They can simply insert openings by using this XML file. So you don't even need to send the project full of openings. You can just send the XML file and other engineers can insert their own openings. So after this file is created, we have it, maybe we share it on our server. The final step is to insert, modify openings. So we do is create openings, browse for the file which we just created. We get the same control window. And here we already have a little bit more columns, as you can see. You can add or remove columns by clicking here. If you need some more information, you can load it. For example, approval or denial of openings. These are all parameters which can be used. But here we have system, cut offsets, additional offsets, all the same markings. One more nice thing about it, in this window we can control where we will insert openings. So since I made interference checks for floors and walls, I can choose between those two, and I can go and create openings only in the wall on the first level. Or if I would want to create only openings for ducts, I can click on a duct and filter by selected data. By doing this, I will create openings only for the ducts on the first level. And I'll remove all filters to go back. First floor. So this is all the control of the openings. And here on top, you can choose what kind of openings you would want to insert. Since we're working in structural model right now, it would be the best to use real void openings and create real holes in the project. But if we would work in MEP project where architecture or structural model is linked, we can insert solid models of openings, and they will just be created there to occupy space. Also, these families will be on your computer. They're easily accessible. And if you want to add some parameters, change some parameters, like I did here, changed color of solid openings, you can easily do that for your projects and for your needs. But in this case, I will use round face void opening and rectangular opening. And I'll insert just on the first floor. And after the openings are generated, our tool will check which MEP services are close to one another, so which openings should be joined. Inserted openings 81, and out of them, our tool joined 23 openings. And we can see how it looks. I'll close this window. That's on the first floor, everywhere where MEP services intersect the wall, openings are created. I've set everywhere cut offset 20mm, so it would be easier to follow. And as you can see, everywhere is the same distance from service to the opening. And where are two pipes going? Opening is of course joined, and we have one opening. Also here, openings are joined. This is further because the different level of openings. What should we do if some services are moved or something changed in the model? Our tool is based on ID of the elements, on that interference check. So as long as the services and elements intersecting have the same ID, our tool can track all of the changes. Usually in structural model, I would change MEP model and load it there, but here we can change native MEP model. For example, this duct 200 to 200. Move this duct to the left. And to have something more interesting, increase the diameter of the pipe. Why it's more interesting? Because openings here are joined, and we'll see what our tool will do with that. To see the changes, we just need to click on Opening Revision. Our tool again scans all the project, all the openings which are inserted, and shows if there are some inconsistencies between what was inserted before and what we have now. Here's the result. We have cutting element changed position. That's the return duct. We can just click here and agree with changes. I'll make this window smaller just to see what will happen. Agree with changes. And opening is moved. Also here, duct size changed. Cutting element dimension change. Agree with changes, and changes are made. And for the two pipes, it'll be under unjoin category, because at first our tool has to unjoin these openings to increase the other pipe's opening and then join them back again. And when openings are created, we can go to a step of tagging openings. That can be simply done by loading a tag. All openings are generic models, so tag needs to be made for generic models. I'm using the tag which was created by my colleague some time ago. It reads these three parameters from the opening. This is the size, the elevation which is written in the opening, and the shape. All this can be seen in our openings. Under identity data, there is opening mark, which we created under the rules of cut opening, the shape, opening elevation, to which level opening belongs, which wall or beam or floor is the host. Also, system classification type and name are copied, but since we're using here cable tray, it's not copied, but we can go to, these are joined. So this has single system. So it's a return air and mechanical return air 8. Next will be by whom opening was created, what configuration was used, on which date, and then you can put ticks on if opening is approved, declined, write any comments, approved by whom. That can be written by any other engineers, and you can review it by clicking open revisions and getting all that big table, all that adding these columns, and all this data will be available. And also comments visible. That's if you have the side view, click on comments visible, the delete reason or approved reason will be visible. And here you can regulate by your own hand if you want to add some additional cut offset, calibrate the size, and also opening area is calculated. Also, one thing I would want to mention is that when openings are joined or by one, we have join unjoin openings button, which would, if just generic models are chosen, join openings, and we'll join the openings. And these ones are joined all together, so they will be unjoined into separate ones. Well, that's from these controls. And one more workflow which I wanted to show you is when you're working in collaboration, sometimes openings need to be made in a separate model, not to take space in any other models because they have a big weight. So after the XML file is created, it's possible to create a completely new file. For that, I will close my MEP and we'll create a completely new file, construction template. That's okay. You would only need to link all the models for which intersections were made. In this case, it's my MEP model and my structural model. And here, openings can be inserted as solid models. And one more structural model. Yeah, it works. Everything is good. And I will go back to creation of openings and insert openings from the same save XML file. And like I said, we will insert this time solid openings, and I'll just insert orange ones so it would be easier to see them. And probably I'll create for all the project. Okay, everything is created. So I'll click on close, open 3D view. I think it's set for coordination. And I will simply now unload the links. They were just needed to insert the openings. Change to consistent colors, and here we have the kind of looks like a point mass of all the inserted openings. These bigger plates are from the shafts where the bigger ducts go through the floor, and all the smaller ones are from MEP services. That would be it from cut opening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and support@agacad.com, and my email alexandras@agacad.com. I thank you for your attention and have a great day.
AGACAD, building BIM together.